Okay, we're breaking into our first safety today, Sione Vaki. And this guy is quite electric. You're going to love his highlights here in the second half of this video. And I got to tell you, I'm really impressed with him. I'm just worried about his length. I think his length is going to be a little bit of a problem for him at the next level. And I think when you talk about aim small, miss small, that's exactly how I would define a safety or any corner, anybody, honestly, that has, a little bit shorter arms or smaller hands. They don't have the height, the range, the length of some of the other players. Now he has almost prototypical size as far as height and weight, but he's just lacking in the arms and the wingspan. And I think that that's going to be a condition on which he's going to have to overcome. And he's done that for the majority of his career already. Where he's lacking or deficient in an area, he finds another area to excel at. So for all those reasons, I think that Sione Vaki is an absolute baller. I mean, this guy has a lot of great things about him, and we're going to talk about those right now. So first and foremost, Sione Vaki played for the Utah Utes. He measures at 5'11", 210 pounds, 29 and an eighth inch arms, 8 and 5/8 inch hands. He did not have the best athleticism score, but I got to tell you, 39 and a half inch vertical and a basically 10 and a half inch or 10 foot 5 inch broad. That's not athletic. That's very athletic. And I think where his shorter arms, he's going to make up for it in the vertical. He may not be able to extend with his arms, but between the jump and his arms, he should be able to get up and high point these contested catches. 40-yard dash, he was a little bit slower. I definitely didn't want to see Sione Vaki run a 4.62. Would have loved to have seen him closer to a 4.5, but his 10-yard split is not that far off from everybody else that ran, in that 4.5 neighborhood. Pretty strong kid, 20 reps on the bench. And I mean, this guy plays like a bulldog, man. He loves to play, and you can tell it's written all over him. NFL had this to say. They said he's a gamer who does whatever is necessary to help his team win. That is very evident in the tape. Vaki carries a thick frame with good upper body power and heavy hands. He took on carries to help his team when it was stung by injuries. Look, this guy's an absolute dog as a running back. The last half of the season when he had to play running back and fill in or take over the running back role and fill in, he had a combined 520 yards. And it just absolutely stunned me in his tape how, fluid he was running the ball, catching the ball, route running, making guys miss. I mean, the guy has the skills to pay the bills, as they would say. And for that reason, and many others, I think that he is potentially on the radar for the Detroit Lions for a few reasons. But most notably, now that the kickoff rule has changed, we're looking for playmakers. We're looking for, guys that can play, defense and potentially offense at the same time, but guys that can contribute on defense or offense, but also on special teams is something that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell covets the most. And we've always found positions for players like Jason Kabinda when really he didn't help us on the offense at all. He was barely a blocker at times. But when you put him into special teams, he excelled. So I would rather see an extra safety on the team that can also run the ball and go out and catch a pass, also play special teams and be part of the defense. So for me, it makes more sense to do that. Extra linebacker, an extra tight end, an extra safety, not a fullback that you're not going to use anywhere else. So NFL.com for strengths had him as a very productive tackler with the nose for the ball. Works his eyes from quarterback to the route. Heavy hands and has a jarring punch. Patient to launch tackle, tries only when he has target locked in. So I guess that kind of speaks to my aim small, miss small. NFL.com is not the reason why you guys are here. We want to know what this guy's all about, and what are the things that could make this guy be a potential game changer at the next level, even though he's probably a 3rd round pick right now. I do believe that the fact that he is an extremely, extremely willing hitter and tackler in this game. And NFL.com mentioned his eyes. I too mentioned his eyes multiple times in the video. He's consistently watching the quarterback and what that quarterback is going to do. And it helps him to make a decisive decision. It helps with his instincts because he's quick to react. He reads and reacts is how I call it. But he also watches the running back and he pays close attention to any receivers that he's covering. But he'll watch the running back and the quarterback working together. He keeps his eyes on the ball. And you'll see him jump routes, fight through tackles. He just makes some incredible plays because his awareness level is a level 10. His vision is insane. His instincts are through the roof. He jumps routes like he knows the snap count. So for all of those reasons, his deficiencies in his arms are getting made up in other areas. And that's all of those things that I just mentioned. His instincts, his awareness, his vision. Complete pit bull on the field. He's just a nasty hitter. He's a thumper. He kind of reminds me of a Miles Killebrew, but better. Like Miles Killebrew was a thumper out there on the field, and he loved to hit. He was a physical hitter, and Sione Vaki is exactly that too. So good strength at making the tackle. His peers refer to him as an overachiever, somebody that's always willing to go the extra mile, and that's an exact replica of what you're looking for from Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. Is they want somebody that is willing to put the work in and earn it, right? You hear it all the time. And Sione Vaki is that type of an individual. Ball skills, very good. And you'll see that in the tape as well. Even though he only had 2 interceptions over the last 2 seasons, he can make, a play for an interception as needed. He wasn't targeted a whole lot, but he's always in position to make a play, up on the line of scrimmage, down in the box, where he was utilized more off the edge, rushing the quarterback. I think he had like 8 tackles for loss this last season and 59 tackles. It's something crazy like that. So, I see him projecting more as, a slot nickel, safety. Either he's up in the slot as a corner, or he's, running the nickel as a safety. And I think that's a perfect position for him. But again, that's somebody that does project pretty highly in special teams, and someone that can be utilized now in a short area where you're going to need more speed and strength on special teams, as opposed to all speed or all strength. So I think that Sione Vaki could find his way onto the Detroit Lions roster here come April. The only weaknesses that I really found for him is the majority of the time last season, Vaki was able to play very physical and overwhelm, all of the opposing receivers early in the downs. But that's not really a scenario I believe is going to play out a whole lot in the NFL. And Draft Buzz kind of felt similar in that regard. He's going to be going up against much bigger opponents, and I don't think he's going to be able to manhandle them as easily as he did with Utah. And that's simply because his arm length will not allow him to get up, inside and jam with length. These receivers are going to be able to keep him away. So that's probably my biggest concern is, how is he going to get up in these receivers' face if he doesn't have the length to do it? So he's going to have to be used more of an off man, not press man type of corner or safety, if you will. So we'll see. We'll see where it projects. We'll see how he grows and develops. But he's got all of the makings of somebody that can really explode onto the scene and surprise a lot of people because of the way that he plays the game. Very clean, successful in everything that he's done, whether it's running back, or back at safety. Highly successful. He wants to stay at safety. I realize that, but it'd be good for him to stay multiple, versatile, and just do whatever he can do to make a roster and get some playing time, because that's going to be the most important thing for his career to develop and have more opportunity to play safety. Now nickel, we talk about nickel because we've got Brian Branch in the nickel. So this would be another option that you bring in where you have Amik Robertson that could be the slot corner or the left corner. Carlton Davis could be the right corner, or you could flip flop potentially. And then you got a guy like Sione Vaki that can now man the nickel where Brian Branch can go back to free safety if needed. So it would just give you a lot of positional versatility. You got guys that can do multiple things. I would still like to see the Lions pick up another corner in the draft outside of a safety. So I don't know if it's going to make sense. That's probably my only other drawback here is if they take a corner early, they may not take a safety in the 3rd or 4th round if they get a 4th round pick. So we'll see what happens there too. But anyway, let's get into the highlights. This will be the last time you see me in this video. So we'll see you guys tonight at 8 p.m. Rock That Detroit Lions goes live with off.